Subject-verb agreement is a question of number. You just need to decide if the subject is singular, referring to one person or entity, or plural, referring to more than one person or entity. That sounds easy enough. However, intervening phrases can make that decision much more challenging. In other words, phrases that come between the subject and the verb do not change the number of the subject. You know that the verb needs to agree with the subject of the sentence, but a prepositional phrase that follows the subject may fool you. Look at the following examples. The representative is in the conference room. The representative for the defendants is in the conference room. In both sentences, the subject is representative. It may sound funny because the word defendants is so close to the verb. However, defendants is the object of the preposition, not the subject of the sentence. Let's first take a look at prepositions. A preposition is a word that shows a relationship of a noun or pronoun to some other word in the sentence. Prepositions don't stand by themselves. They are followed by a noun, creating a prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrases act as adjectives or adverbs, so they modify, describe, or limit other words in the sentence. Look at this list of prepositions. Now look at the following sentence. Identify the prepositional phrase, then isolate it and find the subject. The boy with the flowers, blank, at the door. The prepositional phrase with the flowers only tells us which boy, so the subject is boy. If you selected was, you are correct. Try another. The house near the trees, blank, deserted. In this one, near the trees describes the house, which is the subject, so the correct verb is seems. Try a few more on your own. New York City over the past several decades, blank, had several championship teams. The distractions during the movie, blank, annoying. The workers behind the counter blank every customer who enters the store. The lockers past the guidance office blank been replaced with display cases. The candidate against the proposed taxes blank her children to the rallies. The houses underneath the highway overpass blank power washing every year. The tree between the buildings blank an explosion of color when the leaves change in autumn. Now, there are other intervening phrases that can cause subject-verb agreement problems. A singular subject followed by any one of these following phrases still takes a singular verb. Together with, as well as, in addition to, accompanied by. The problem is that these phrases imply a plural subject, which leads you to believe that it is a compound subject. Many people handle these phrases as if the word and were joining them to the subject. In formal writing, that's not the case. But I'll show you a trick that, in many cases, can help you isolate the singular subject. First, take a look at this example. On Fridays, Allison, together with her sisters, drives to the school in her father's SUV. Although many people see this sentence as having a compound subject with Allison and her sisters, the sentence technically has a singular subject, Allison. Take a look at another one and pay a careful attention to the punctuation. Throughout the medical exam, the child, together with his parents, was asked a series of questions. You might have noticed that these intervening phrases are typically surrounded by commas. If you were to read the sentence aloud, you'd notice that your voice changes slightly when saying the phrase that is offset by the commas. Your voice tends to drop a little. Throughout the medical exam, the child, together with his parents, was asked a series of questions. Okay, now here's the trick. When you encounter a sentence that contains one of these intervening phrases, and that phrase is surrounded by commas, just grab the commas as if they were handles and pull the phrase out of the sentence. Then you can isolate the singular subject and select the correct verb. Again, you only need to do this with singular subjects. Try a few on your own. The minister, accompanied by her choir, blank the service every Sunday morning. The taco, as well as the burrito, blank served with a side of guacamole. The president, together with his aides, blank in Air Force One to important events. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, as well as many other towns on the Outer Banks, frequently blank severe weather. 60,000 men, in addition to Mansa Musa, blank reported to have made a pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. Okay, the last one was a little tricky. The rule about these interrupting expressions applies only to singular subjects. Men is already a plural subject. So in review, phrases that come between the subject and the verb do not change the number of the subject. Look for the prepositional phrase, isolate it, and find the subject. A singular subject followed by any one of the following phrases still takes a singular verb, together with, as well as, in addition to, accompanied by. Think carefully about the subject of any sentence. Ask yourself who or what is doing the action or indicating a state of being. Then select your verb accordingly.